Guys, unfortunately, I have to start this video with some very distressing information, so if you don't feel like crying right now, this is probably the best time to look away, because Drake and Bobbi Althoff have unfollowed each other. I know, it ruined my week too. Now in all seriousness, I do realise that statement probably made zero sense to the majority of you, so let me explain. This is Bobbi Althoff, a TikToker with 6 million followers and gets a ridiculous amount of views on her videos. I mean, as we can see here, there's one with 22 million pretty much, 4 million, 6 million, 15, 9, 16, 11, ridiculous numbers. I mean, even on YouTube, she has 690,000 subscribers, which some of you might be thinking, that's not a very big YouTube channel, which first of all, I'd be very offended because I have a lot less than that. But it becomes a lot more impressive when you realise that she's only uploaded 6 videos, or 7 technically, which we'll get into later in the video. And in fact, if we look at a social blade, 594,000 of them subscribers came within the last 30 days. So to say that Bobbi Althoff has blew up on social media recently is a big understatement. I mean, here we can see that she's gained 20 million views just this month, but if you look up a bit further, she actually lost over 9 million views just, what, yesterday? Now that 9 million views that she lost on her channel is due to one video being deleted, which we will get into later in this video, but it's the reason why this kind of drama's all blew up on Twitter and TikTok and whatever else over the last day. But first, let me explain what type of content Bobbi does, because even though she's blew up a lot more recently, she has been uploading content specifically on TikTok for a couple of years, and it was more like mum style content, like mummy vlog type content. Okay, so here she has a favourite pregnancy hack, kind of a standard TikTok type video, and she's doing a brand deal. Not in my video, you fucking won't. And then she started doing this like awkward style of comedy, like in this character she plays, which is pretty like monotone. She doesn't really like raise her voice all that much, and she started doing these videos with her husband.
Today I thought it would be a fun idea to talk about our marriage. My husband sleeps downstairs and I sleep upstairs where the children sleep, and I take care of them all night long because I'm generally pretty tired.
Yeah, so you kind of get the point, right? So even though she was successful at doing this type of content, like she was getting like good views on TikTok, it was nowhere near the levels that she's at now. She's kind of like a mainstream celebrity at this point with like the amount of recognition she's getting on every social media platform. And what's actually caused this is the fact that she started doing podcasts and getting these mega guests instantly. I mean, if we look at her channel right now, on her now 4th episode, technically 5th episode, she did one with Little Yachty, and then on her 6th episode, she did one with Mark Cuban, and she's just uploaded a video with Tiger. Now, this 4th episode that has now been deleted was actually with Drake. She got Drake on her 4th ever podcast, which is fucking mental in its own right. So due to the fact that she got these like mega guests on instantly on her podcast, everywhere it seems, getting millions and millions and millions of views, people started coming up with these conspiracy theories that Bobbi is an industry plant. Now, if we look up the definition for industry plant, it says, an industry plant is largely accepted to mean an artist who presents themselves as being independent and doing things on their own terms, but secretly has the industry backing and money to fund them and to artificially shape such a narrative. So basically, people are saying that Bobbi isn't just this one-person crew that she seems to be, and she just happens to get these massive guests on just due to her, like, comedic talent, I guess. And what they are saying is a massive company has decided to use Bobbi as the face of their content, and due to them being a massive company, they can get these like massive guests in to help Bobbi out, but they're trying to portray her as just herself, doing this all herself, and she just happens to get these great guests on because she's brilliant at what she does. Amelia de Moldenberg is so good that they had to make Bobbi Althoff for the US. The question remains, is Bobbi an industry plant? Bobbi Althoff is of Jewish descent and is signed to the same management as Drake. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they pointed out that she was of Jewish descent, I don't really get that bit, but they carry on to say, her agent is TJ Bernardi, and she signed to WME without prior success. Her husband is also a millionaire, she is not self-made, and she is a plant by definition. Not sure why she's lying about it. Now, this whole WME stuff is very interesting, we'll get into that in just a second, but I just want to quickly say my opinion. I don't think she's an industry plant. I realise that might be a bit of a hot take nowadays, but I really don't. I could obviously be wrong, but I've seen a bunch of Bobbi's like interviews now, and the story she tells seems to make sense to me. She says that it was after the Drake interview that WME even got in touch with her in the first place.
I posted the thing. I got a message from Andrew at WME. He says, like, I'm part of the touring team. Can we talk? I said, okay, because I had like I didn't know what I was doing. They signed with me that night.
But yeah, as you can see, she says that it was after the Drake interview that WME got in contact with her, and I believe her. I don't see why she would lie about that. I could be wrong. I could be very stupid right now. but I believe her. Also, Drake has been known to speak to like influencers quite a lot in the past. He did like a live stream with Ninja back in the day. He's also been in contact with Chunks, who is a UK YouTuber. I remember there's a TikToker who does like these undercover Fed type skits on TikTok. Just TikTok skits, you know, your standard skits. And Drake got in contact with him to say that he liked the videos and stuff. I think he just does this stuff. And then obviously it would make sense that after the podcast went massively viral, like I'm talking ridiculous numbers on YouTube, it had like 9 million views in just like a few days really until it got deleted. The clips on TikTok have tens and tens and tens of millions of views. Like it went massive, so it would make sense why the same management that works with Drake would want to get in contact with Bobbi, you know? And by the way, just to give some context as to how big WME are, let's just go through a list of people that they work with. Okay, so just looking down, it says Jessica Alba, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think that's pronounced, Kate Hudson, Hugh Jackman, like a bunch of ridiculously famous people. And now to add even more context as to how big WME are, they are part of the Endeavor network. I believe it was WMA was a company, Endeavor separate company, they joined forces or something along them lines. But now WME and Endeavor owns the UFC and recently just acquired the WWE. So massive, massive company, as you can tell. Obviously Drake's on there too. They have like a bunch of like different agencies within the companies that work with like actors or like musicians or even influencers. Now the thing that could be a bit sketchy here is that the influencer portion of their agency is separate, right? They have a specific agency for influencers, and Ethan Klein recently came out to talk about WME's influencer agency and how bad it is.
The influencer side, they literally just email anyone with 50,000 views and try to just parasite any money off them.
Yeah, so that's not exactly a good look, but Ethan even goes on further to say that like Bobbi should be very careful.
Girl, you should be careful about that because you go big, all of a sudden you have all these people reaching out to you and you're like, oh, WME, that sounds great. No, they're fucking horrible.
Yeah, and we hear about stuff like this all the time. Like as soon as someone goes a bit viral, the videos start going good or like the music starts going big. These massive companies will reach out to them, promise them the world. You think it's great because this company is huge. You've heard of them before. They work with massive artists. And then it turns out not to be great and they just rip you off because you didn't really know what you were doing at the time. So hopefully for Bobbi's sake, this isn't the case, but one clip that I did see of Bobbi in an interview recently did make me think it could possibly be the case. Because when Bobbi was on the BFF's podcast, she spoke about her financial situation and she says that she's in debt. She's now on her 3rd credit card, nearly maxed that out. No one's paying for her flights or anything. She has to pay for them all herself, which you would think a massive agency like WME would pay for when she's like getting these flights to do these interviews.
I always wanted to like make a lot of money, so I would listen to him.
Are you making a lot of money yet?
I haven't actually seen any of the money because like you know it takes a minute to see money.
Because you got a team of 20 people.
Yeah, 15 people are taking their bite out of your fucking pie now. They're all eating, bruh. They're all
no, that's
eating
not why.
good.
It's just that it takes like
Yeah, so she also says in this interview that she has 15 people on her team now, which is a lot of people to pay. So all I'm saying is that it's going to be a big percentage, I'd imagine, being taken out of her money, which isn't great.
I was traveling to every single thing, and like
paying
nannies, nannies are like, and then hotels, like flights, everything. I've been just like, even to come here, I just spent like $2,000. Like that's money that I don't have yet. I put it on a credit card.
You're not paying for that anymore.
Yeah, I swear to God, I am.
That's coming.
But people keep saying that. I'm like, who's gonna like? Can I don't want to. If anybody wants to pay for my flights, I will take it. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, so even Dave Portnoy, who knows a lot about companies, let's be honest, he's a very, very successful businessman. He says, William Morris, who is WME, are they not paying for it? And she says no, which is a bit of a red flag. Like I said, fingers crossed she isn't getting taken advantage of, but I mean, it's hard to trust any of these companies. There's a reason why they're so big. But now you're aware of who Bobbi Althoff is, the type of content she's done, and that just blew up so quickly, and all that stuff, let's get into the drama that happened yesterday with Drake and Bobbi Althoff. So like I mentioned earlier, Drake and Bobbi Althoff uploaded a podcast together. Bobbi Althoff says that it was actually Drake who followed her first on Instagram. She then messaged Drake to see if that he would do the podcast. Didn't think he would, then he did. They did it like 3 days later. Now that video was going incredibly viral up until yesterday when we got the heartbreaking news that they've unfollowed each other. Drake and Bobbi Althoff have unfollowed each other on Instagram and their interview is deleted from YouTube. 52 million views. 52 million views on that tweet. Tell me how they unfollowed each other. It's fucking mental, innit? No, I can't lie. I don't really give a shit about this. Couldn't care less if they unfollowed each other or whatever, but clearly a lot of people do. I mean, here's another tweet that says, Bobbi Althoff and Drake unfollowed each other on Instagram and she seems to have deleted any content from a Drake interview on socials. 33 million views. Like, I don't really understand why people care so much. And even on TikTok, this is getting ridiculous amounts of views. Here's just a video of someone talking about the fact that they unfollowed each other. 3.2 million views. And it's just a bloke talking about that they unfollowed. Like, I don't understand. So yeah, you can probably see why I'm uploading this video, can't you? If this doesn't get 33 million views at least, I'm going to be gutted. But yeah, like I said, people definitely care about this situation. In fact, they care so much that there's been a bunch of conspiracy theories that have came out as to why they've now unfollowed each other and why the podcast has been deleted. And to be fair, it does seem like something big must have happened, because it's not the fact that they just unfollowed each other. Podcast deleted, all pictures on Instagram deleted together, all content together has been deleted. They clearly don't seem to like each other anymore. Now, the first theory that I saw a lot of people talking about was this, saying Drake tried to slide on Bobbi and she unfollowed him, LMAO. Now, this has 316,000 views. Yeah, I'm going to keep pointing that out because this is getting ridiculous. But yeah, like we just read there, a lot of people seem to think that Drake tried to hook up with Bobbi and that she didn't want to, and that's why they've unfollowed each other. And I believe this theory came from a clip in their podcast.
Am I your type?
I'd do it.
Thank you.
I'd do it.
You do it? I asked, am I your type? And you said I'd do it. It's not funny.
I mean, yeah, it's a funny clip in a comedy podcast. You know, she's playing the character and everything. It's funny. It also has a 37 million views, by the way. Yeah, I can kind of see why people thought that she might be an industry plant, because these numbers are genuinely insane. But yeah, getting back to the point, I think this clip might have something to do with the fact that people thought Drake tried to hook up with Bobbi. But, I mean, I don't know. It's a clip in a comedy podcast where they're both like kind of playing into it a little bit. I don't really think you can read into that too much. And the other theory I've seen is due to this video that Bobbi posted at a Drake concert. I have to mute the audio, it's obviously copyrighted. But she's just looking uninterested. She's playing a character where she doesn't really care. And Drake's performing if people are enjoying it around her. She doesn't care. And people think that Drake saw this, wasn't happy that Bobbi was maybe taking the piss out of him at his own concert, and unfollowed her and deleted all the footage. Now, to be fair, I can see this one being true, somewhat, because Drake has been known to be very petty in the past with, like, beefs with other artists and stuff, so this really wouldn't surprise me. And Bobbi's even mentioned in interviews, talking about Drake and the podcast that they did, that Drake's team were the ones who filmed it. They had full control over the footage. Bobbi wasn't even allowed the footage. She got sent some TikTok clips before she even seen the full thing. She had to post some of the clips first to get the hype up, and then their team allowed her to upload the full podcast. Like, they had full control. So I would bet a lot of money that Drake's team got Bobbi to sign a contract, meaning that Drake's team had full control over the video even after it was uploaded, and if they wanted to pull it, they could, and that would maybe make sense as to, like, they've now pulled it because they fell out over something. And now the last theory that I've seen a lot of people talking about is that this is all for PR, to get people to talk about them. I mean, there's a comment here saying, probably to get people talking about it exactly like this. People are going to ask questions and pry and constantly keep an eye on her page, increasing traction as a whole. And I can get where they're coming from. I just think it'd be a bit of a stupid thing to do, because they've now deleted the podcast that were getting tens of millions of views. People have now re-uploaded it. They're getting the views instead. Like, it seems a bit shit on Bobbi, because she's no longer getting, like, the money or the revenue, the views, all that shit for it. I don't know, it would seem like a bit of a weird method to me, but it's clearly working. People are talking about it, so I guess that could be true. And yeah, that's pretty much the Bobbi Althoff / Drake kind of situation. I mean, I wanted to talk about this because there's been, like, mental theories going around. We've got an influencer who was blew up, who I think has done it on her own, if I had to guess, and she's now got a team who work with her, and people think she's an industry plant, which is mental in itself, and now she's beefing with Drake. Like, I mean, it's a bit fucking mental, isn't it? Like, how do you go from starting your YouTube channel, like, 2 or 3 months ago to beefing with Drake? It is a bit insane. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts down below on this whole situation. Do you think she's an industry plant? What's your thoughts on the drama? Do you even give a shit? That's probably the main question. And yeah, I'm gonna leave video there. So if you did enjoy, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.